What I'm about to show you is going to change how you think about your waistline after 50, because the truth is, this is not just about overeating or getting lazy. And when I reveal the number one reason your belly changes even when the scale barely moves, you're going to understand why so many good, disciplined people feel like their body suddenly turned against them. If your pants fit differently, if your middle feels thicker, firmer, harder to ignore, this message is for you. Because what's happening in your abdomen after 50 is not random. And once you understand it, you stop blaming yourself and start making changes that actually work. I'm Dr. Michael Joel, and I need to tell you something that a lot of people over 60 need to hear today. That belly fat that appeared almost out of nowhere, it is not just a cosmetic issue. In many cases, it's a visible clue that muscle is changing, hormones are shifting, sleep is worsening, and fat is being stored in a more dangerous place than it used to be. That's why two people can weigh the same and have completely different health risks. One person carries weight under the skin. The other carries more of it deep around the organs. And after 50, your body becomes much more likely to choose the second pattern. Before we begin, please subscribe to this channel for health guidance that helps you stay strong, informed, independent, and confident. Because what I'm going to explain in the next few minutes may be the first time someone has connected all the dots for you, clearly and honestly. Not with fad diets, not with miracle powders, not with shame, but with the real biology of what changes after 50, why your belly becomes the body's favorite storage site, and what you can do starting this week to push back against it. Let me start with Carol from Columbus, Ohio, because her story may sound painfully familiar. Carol was 67, a retired elementary school librarian, and she kept saying the same thing over and over. Doctor, I don't understand it. I'm eating almost the same. My weight is only up 4 pounds, but my stomach is completely different. Her arms looked similar. Her face looked similar, but her waist had expanded. Her jeans felt tight by noon, and she started avoiding mirrors. She thought she had lost all discipline. She thought maybe retirement had made her soft. But Carol's problem wasn't weakness. Her body had quietly changed the rules, and nobody had explained the new rules to her. Now, here's what makes this so confusing. Belly fat is not all the same. Some of it is the softer fat under the skin that you can pinch, but some of it is deeper. It sits inside the abdominal cavity around your organs. That deeper fat is called visceral fat, and it behaves very differently. It's more active, it's more inflammatory. It's more strongly linked to problems like insulin resistance, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. That's why a growing belly after 50 is not just about appearance. It can be a signal that your body is storing fat in a riskier way than it did in your 30s or 40s. So let's break this down. There are 7 major reasons belly fat changes after 50, and they build on each other. Number 7 may seem small, but it starts the domino effect. Number 7 is sleep. Poor sleep changes appetite, cravings, energy, stress hormones, and even where fat tends to collect. And the tragedy is that many adults over 60 normalize bad sleep. They wake up at 2 a.m., and then 4 a.m., and then again before sunrise, and they tell themselves, well, that's just aging. But broken sleep changes the chemistry of hunger and fullness. It makes you more likely to snack, less likely to move, and more likely to store energy around the middle. Let me tell you about James from Mesa, Arizona. James was 71, a Vietnam veteran, tough as nails, the kind of man who never complained. But his wife told me his sleep had become a disaster. He was up 3 times a night to use the bathroom. He fell asleep in front of the television, and by afternoon he was reaching for crackers, cookies, anything quick. He insisted his problem was lack of willpower, but it wasn't. His body was exhausted, his appetite signals were scrambled, and his stress chemistry was staying elevated. When we improved his sleep routine and addressed a few medical issues, his late-night hunger eased and his belly began to shrink without any extreme diet. Now let's move to number 6, because this one fools almost everybody. Number 6 is that you move less than you think. Not exercise less, necessarily, move less. After 50, daily movement often falls in tiny invisible ways. You park closer. You sit longer after breakfast. You take fewer stairs. You garden for 50 minutes instead of 45. You stand up slower. You rest more between chores. None of this feels dramatic, which is why it slips past people. But those little drops in movement add up day after day. Over time, your body burns less energy, your muscles do less work, and that unused energy has to go somewhere. Very often it goes to your abdomen. Susan from Naperville, Illinois, taught me this lesson beautifully. She was 64, recently retired, and convinced menopause had ruined her metabolism overnight. But when we walked through her week, the real picture emerged. She no longer commuted. She no longer crossed the school parking lot twice a day. She no longer walked classroom halls for 6 hours. She had gone from active days to comfortable days, not lazy days, comfortable days. That difference matters. Her formal exercise routine had stayed the same, but her background movement had collapsed. When she started adding walking after meals, standing phone calls, more house movement, and short afternoon walks, her waist started responding before the scale did. Number 5 is one of the biggest reasons this whole process feels unfair. You are not just gaining fat after 50. You are often losing muscle at the same time, and that changes everything. Muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. It helps your body use calories even when you are sitting still. When muscle gradually declines, your resting calorie burn declines with it. So the meals that once maintained your weight may now slowly push you into storage mode. This is why many people swear they are eating the same way they always have, and they are telling the truth. The problem is not that they're lying. The problem is that their body is no longer spending energy the way it used to. And here's the heartbreaking part. Muscle loss doesn't announce itself. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, hello, I'm leaving now. It shows up quietly. Carrying groceries feels heavier. Getting out of low chairs takes more effort. Balance is slightly worse. Stairs feel different. Your arms and legs look a little smaller while your middle looks larger. That combination is what terrifies me because many older adults focus only on the belly and don't realize they are experiencing a double shift. Less muscle, more fat, and a more abdominal fat pattern. That is exactly the combination that drives weakness, falls, slower metabolism, and that stubborn sense that your body no longer responds. That brings us to number 4, and this one is deeply emotional. Number 4 is stress. Not just dramatic stress. Not just emergencies. The kind of stress adults over 60 carry every single day. A spouse with memory problems, rising grocery bills, adult children struggling, grandchildren you love but worry about, prescription costs, loneliness, grief, caregiving, poor sleep piled on top of all of it. Chronic stress keeps your body in a chemistry that nudges it towards storing more fat centrally. It also makes healthy decisions harder. You want quick relief, quick comfort, quick food, quick rest. Under stress, the body becomes protective, and protective bodies are not interested in a lean waistline. I'll never forget Nancy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nancy was 69 and caring for her husband after his stroke. She lived on coffee, toast, and whatever she could eat standing at the kitchen counter. By evening, she was emotionally drained and pouring herself 2 glasses of wine while finishing leftovers over the sink. She kept saying that I don't even eat that much. And technically, some days she didn't. But her body was living in a constant state of alert. Her sleep was fragmented. Her stress was relentless. Her meals were chaotic. Her belly expanded even as her energy disappeared. Once we helped her build structure, support, and calmer habits, the weight around her middle finally stopped climbing. Now we come to number 3, and this is where many people start realizing why the old advice stopped working. Number 3 is that the foods your body tolerated at 35 can hit very differently at 55, 65, or 75. Refined carbohydrates, sweet drinks, oversized portions of bread, crackers, pastries, and late-night snacks create bigger problems when muscle is lower and insulin sensitivity is worse. In plain English, your body gets less efficient at handling blood sugar. That means more of the energy from those foods is likely to be stored rather than burned. And because the body after 50 is already leaning towards central storage, guess where that energy often ends up? Right around the belly. Harold from Indianapolis, Indiana was the perfect example. Harold was 72, and every morning he ate what he called a light breakfast. Orange juice, 2 slices of toast with jam, cereal, and coffee. That breakfast would have been followed by a long, active workday when he was younger. But now it was followed by sitting, reading, and a slow morning indoors. By noon, he was hungry again by 3 p.m., sleepy, and by dinner craving starch. He thought the problem was aging itself. But the real issue was that his meals were giving him quick energy his body couldn't use efficiently anymore. When we shifted toward more protein, fiber, and less sugar, his waist finally began to loosen. Number 2 is the one many women expect me to mention first, but I saved it because it matters enormously. Number 2 is hormones, especially the drop in estrogen for women after menopause. Many women tell me, doctor, I used to gain weight in my hips or thighs. Now it all goes to my stomach. And they are exactly right. As estrogen declines, fat distribution changes. The body becomes more likely to store fat around the abdomen rather than in the lower body. That means a woman can gain only a few pounds and still feel as though her entire shape has changed. It's not her imagination. It's a biologic redistribution, and it can be profoundly frustrating. Linda from Tampa, Florida was 66 and furious at her own body. She had stayed active, she walked with friends, she cooked at home, and still her waist thickened after menopause in a way that made her feel unfamiliar to herself. She said, "I look like my father now, not my mother." That sentence hit me hard because it captured the emotional reality of abdominal fat after menopause. It is not only physical, it changes identity. It changes how clothes fit, how chairs feel, how confidence feels. Once Linda understood that her body was now more prone to storing abdominal fat, she stopped chasing starvation diets and started focusing on strength, sleep, fiber, protein, and consistency. That was when progress finally began. But I also need to speak to the men watching because this is not just a women's story. Men after 50 often see gradual declines in testosterone, reduced activity, more stress, less muscle, and worsening sleep. And the result is often the same destination, more abdominal fat. Many men notice their arms and legs getting thinner while the belly gets more prominent. They joke about a retirement gut, but what they're really describing is a body composition shift. Less muscle, more fat, more of that fat centered in the abdomen. That combination can increase the risk of insulin resistance, fatty liver, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, and the kind of exhaustion that makes it harder to reverse. Robert from Fort Worth, Texas was 70 and said something I hear from men all the time. I don't understand it. I'm not eating like a teenager. And he wasn't. But he had stopped lifting anything heavier than a grocery bag. He slept poorly. He drank 2 beers most nights. And his daily activity had narrowed to errands and television. His body wasn't broken. It was adapting to less demand. Once we added resistance work twice a week, walking after dinner, and a better protein pattern, his belly slowly started shrinking and his energy came back. Men often think they need punishment to fix this. They usually need structure, muscle stimulus, and patience. And now we arrive at number 1, the most important reason belly fat changes after 50, the reason all the others feed into, the reason people panic because the mirror changes faster than the scale. Number 1 is this: after 50, your body becomes more likely to move fat inward and centrally, not just upward in amount. That means the real change is often not simply more fat. It is different fat in a different place. That is the part almost nobody explains. You may not have gained as much as you think, but if more of what you carry is concentrated in the abdomen, especially around the organs, your waist, your comfort, and your health, can all change dramatically. This is why some people say, "Doctor, my belly feels different." It's not just bigger. It feels harder. That sensation matters because deep abdominal fat behaves differently from the softer fat under the skin. It can make the belly protrude in a more rounded, firmer way. It can drive inflammation. It can worsen the body's response to insulin. It can contribute to rising blood pressure, worsening cholesterol patterns, and a metabolic domino effect that seems to appear out of nowhere. In reality, it did not appear out of nowhere. It was built quietly by years of muscle decline, sleep disruption, hormonal change, stress, lower activity, and the body's shift towards central storage. And here is the most dangerous misunderstanding of all. People think belly fat after 50 means they need to eat less and less and less. Sometimes they start skipping meals, cutting protein, avoiding strength training because they feel heavy, and doing random crunches in the living room. But that can make the whole picture worse. If you undereat protein and avoid resistance work, you risk losing even more muscle. If you lose more muscle, resting calorie burn falls further. And when resting calorie burn falls further, your body becomes even more likely to store energy in the very place you're trying to shrink. That is why so many older adults feel trapped in a cycle that seems impossible. So what do you do? Let me give you the practical plan because understanding the problem is only half the battle. First, start your day with protein, not just starch. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, unsweetened yogurt with berries, turkey, tuna, or a simple protein-rich breakfast can make a major difference in fullness and muscle preservation. Second, stop making weight loss your only goal. Make muscle your mission. 2 or 3 sessions a week of resistance work, done safely, can help preserve the tissue that keeps your metabolism from slipping further. That can mean resistance bands, body weight sit-to-stands, light dumbbells, wall push-ups, or supervised gym work if your doctor agrees. Third, walk more than you think you need to, especially after meals. Not heroic walks, not painful walks, just consistent ones. 10 minutes after lunch, 10 after dinner, and your blood sugar handling can improve more than you realize. Fourth, prioritize fiber. Beans, berries, apples, vegetables, oats, lentils, and high-fiber whole foods help with fullness, digestion, and steadier blood sugar. Fifth, watch liquid calories. Sweet tea, soda, juice, and regular evening alcohol can quietly sabotage the waistline because they add energy without much fullness. For many adults over 60, just reducing sugary drinks and tightening up nightly alcohol creates more waist change than endless sit-ups ever will. Sixth, stop chasing spot reduction. Crunches strengthen muscles, but they do not selectively melt belly fat. I wish they did. They don't. The body loses fat systemically. Seventh, protect sleep as though it were medicine, because in many ways it is. If you snore heavily, wake up gasping, feel exhausted every day, or fall asleep in a chair regularly, get evaluated. Sleep apnea is common and it can work directly against weight control and heart health. Eighth, create regular meal times instead of chaotic grazing. Many people overeat not because they are greedy, but because their eating pattern is disorganized. A body that feels deprived all day often comes looking for relief at night. Ninth, be honest about stress. If your life feels heavy, your body knows it. That does not mean stress makes fat magically appear overnight, but it absolutely changes sleep, hunger, cravings, energy, and routine. 10th, measure more than weight. Measure your waist. If a woman's waist is 35 inches or more, or a man's is 40 inches or more, that deserves attention. And if your waist is growing even while your body weight is stable, pay attention to that too. The mirror and the waistband often tell the truth before the bathroom scale does. That is especially true after 50, when fat redistribution can make a small weight change look and feel much larger. Now let me tell you about George from Raleigh, North Carolina, because his story brings all of this together. George was 73. He had a growing belly, thinner legs, lousy sleep, 2 bourbons at night, very little protein, and almost no strength work. He thought his body was simply old, and that nothing meaningful could be done. We didn't put him on some brutal plan. We gave him structure. Protein at breakfast, walking after dinner, resistance bands 3 times a week, less alcohol, earlier bedtime, more vegetables, better meal rhythm. 12 weeks later, his scale was down only a little, but his waist was down several inches, his balance improved, his energy improved, and his blood pressure looked better. That is the point I want to leave you with today. After 50, belly fat changes because your body changes where it stores energy, how it uses calories, how much muscle it carries, how it responds to hormones, stress, sleep loss, and inactivity. But this is not hopeless. It is understandable. And what is understandable becomes manageable. If your belly has changed, do not assume you failed. Ask better questions. Are you sleeping? Are you moving enough? Are you preserving muscle? Are you eating enough protein and fiber? Are your evenings sabotaging your mornings? Those are the questions that start turning this around. And one more thing before we finish. If your abdomen is rapidly enlarging, if you have severe bloating, new pain, unexplained weight loss, black stools, swelling in the legs, shortness of breath, or you simply feel that something is very wrong, please do not assume it is just age or belly fat. Get checked. Most belly changes after 50 are related to body composition and lifestyle shifts, but not every abdominal change is benign. Respect your instincts. Talk to your doctor. Rule out what needs ruling out. Then come back and build the right plan with confidence. Your body after 50 is not your younger body with worse luck. It is a different biology asking for a different strategy. Once you understand that, the shame starts to fall away, and the path becomes clearer. If this helped you, share it with someone who keeps saying, I swear I'm doing the same things and my stomach keeps growing. Because now you know the truth. Belly fat after 50 is not random. It is a pattern, and patterns can be changed. Take care of yourself, stay consistent, stay patient, and I'll see you in the next video.